Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on something you've probably wondered about. How do free games make billions of dollars? We're going to break down the complex, but honestly kind of brilliant economies that power those apps you play every single day.
All right, so let's just dive right into the heart of it, what I like to call the free-to-play paradox. It's a question that I'm sure has crossed your mind at some point. I mean, it doesn't really seem like it should work, does it? You can download the game, play it for hundreds of hours, and never pay a single penny. So where is all that cash coming from? Well, the secret isn't about how many people play the game. It's about how many people pay. And here is the part that is just mind-blowing. The vast majority of players, we're talking 90, even 98% of them, never spend any money, ever. The entire financial success of these massive games rests on the shoulders of a tiny fraction of the player base.
So you have to understand, this is not an accident. It's not just luck. Game developers are not just selling cool items here and there. No, they are building entire, fully functioning economies behind the scenes. It's a system that is designed from the ground up to make this whole model work.
So, let's pop the hood and look at the engine room of this economy, shall we? Just like any real-world economy, it's all about the money. And in these games, there are usually a few different types of virtual currency that keep the whole machine running. Okay, first up, you've got your soft currency. This is the stuff you earn just by, well, playing the game. Think of it like your in-game allowance or salary. The game gives it to you at a steady pace to keep you logging in, feeling like you're making progress. You earn this with your time.
And then you have the hard currency. Now this is the moneymaker. The game might drip feed you a tiny amount for free, but it's designed to be super scarce. If you want more of it, the main way to get it is to open up your real wallet and buy it with actual cash.
And some of the most complex games at a third layer, a tertiary currency. This is for the true believers, the most dedicated players. You earn these currencies incredibly slowly, sometimes over months, and they're used to unlock the absolute coolest, most exclusive stuff in the game. It's all about keeping you invested for the long haul.
And right here, this comparison really shows you the core dynamic of the whole system. It's so clever. The game gives you one type of money for your time and engagement, but it creates this really powerful reason for you to buy the other type of money with your actual dollars.
Now, what's really fascinating is how developers manage the flow of all this virtual cash. It's not just thrown into the game at random. It is a very carefully balanced system. And it all boils down to this really fundamental equation. You have sources, which is where currency comes from. You either earn it or you buy it. Then it sits in your wallet. And finally, you spend it on sinks, which is just a fancy word for anything in the game you can possibly buy.
You know, this whole system is so effective because of a simple psychological trick. Let's be honest. Spending 100 gems on something feels way different than spending 10 real dollars, right? It's the exact same reason casinos use chips. It creates this mental buffer between you and your actual money, and that just makes it a little bit easier to spend.
Okay, so we've got the mechanics down. But for any economy to work, you need people to actually participate. So let's look at the different kinds of spenders that make this whole model go round. So, game developers often group their paying players into these kinds of tiers. You've got your minnows, who might buy a small starter pack just once. Then you've got dolphins, who are more consistent, mid-level spenders. And at the very top, you have the whales. These are the elite players who spend enormous amounts of money and can single-handedly account for a huge chunk of a game's total revenue.
And really, the entire monetization strategy is about gently nudging players along this path. A really well-designed, tempting offer might convince someone who's never paid to finally become a minnow. A good deal might turn a minnow into a dolphin. The ultimate goal is to create a long-term repeat customer.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most critical challenge for any game developer. How in the world do you keep this entire delicate economy from just falling apart?
The single biggest danger is something called currency overhang. This is what happens when the game is just too generous. It gives out too much free currency, or it runs too many sales. Suddenly, player wallets get totally bloated, and if everyone is sitting on a mountain of premium currency, their motivation to buy more with real money, it just vanishes.
And this is basically what an imbalanced economy looks like.
When the sources, all that currency flowing into the game, is consistently way higher than the sinks, the things people can spend it on, all that excess currency just floods the system, and the whole economic engine can grind to a halt.
So how do they fix it? Well, the only real cure is to create new, exciting things for players to spend their money on. You introduce powerful new characters, you run limited-time events, you release exclusive cosmetic items, you create compelling sinks that drain that excess currency right out of the economy and bring things back into balance.
And there you have it. That's the secret. That's the hidden economic engine that turns these free-to-play games into billion-dollar businesses. It's this constant, delicate dance between what you earn, what you spend, and the psychology that drives it all. Which leaves just one final question for you to think about the next time you log in.